Hello, my Bill 5000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another Lazy Masquerade. This one is titled Disturbing Things I Found on the Internet, Volume 3. All right, I'm excited to get into today's story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cup up with something special. Let's get creeped the hell out, people. Whoa, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Ah, TikTok, where attention spans go to shrivel.
Yes.
Speaking of shriveling, today's first entry revolves around a TikTok account with this username. Now I can think of a couple of colourful ways to pronounce that, but to stay in YouTube's good books, I'm just gonna call it Store. At time of recording, Store's account has 3,500 followers. All their videos are in Indonesian, and all seem to promote gimmicky products. Portable washing machines, monkey tissue dispensers, things of that nature, all with accompanying hashtags and light-hearted background music to help shell each item.
I like
Just
it.
an ordinary small business account, really. But if it's all so innocent, why am I even talking about it? Well, over the past few weeks, Store has live-streamed some concerning material, seemingly at random intervals. If you happen to catch any of the streams, you'd have seen something like this. Thus
What the
far,
fuck?
they've all featured what appears to be a man in a dark, confined space, covered in what looks like mud or a mud-like substance. In each of the videos, this man either lies curled up in the fetal position, or actively scoops up the brown sludge and pours it over himself, as if making sure he's completely covered in it. What really makes these streams unsettling is that the man seems to be an unwilling participant in the streams. His expression suggests that he's either uncomfortable or scared, and he appears to be extremely cold, often clutching his body tightly and breathing heavily. Some viewers have even claimed that they've tuned into the live streams and heard voices off-screen angrily yelling at the man, ordering him to keep covering himself in the wet sludge, though I personally haven't come across any recordings with other people's voices in them. All these streams
Wow.
ended abruptly and without explanation, leaving the thousands of viewers who had tuned in to question what they had just seen.
Maybe they're just trying to get fucking views. Like, people do weird shit.
Strangely, Store have gone on uploading their gadget videos to their account as normal, and as it stands, haven't addressed any of the live streams. Honestly, these streams give off strong Blank Room Soup vibes, as if the man in the video is being forced to take part in a bizarre ritual against his will. But where Blank Room Soup was in all likelihood an art project that went viral, the truth behind the Store live streams is, as of right now, more mysterious and uncertain.
Fuck.
I mean, what even are these live streams? Why are they being streamed on a gadget account of all places? Was the person in these live streams the man behind the Store account? Or was Store the person behind the camera, keeping this man locked up somewhere? Now I can't find an exact date for when these streams first started, but
Okay, now if this was actually happening though, okay, here's where I'm going with this. If this was actually happening, someone turned in, law enforcement would have to look into it, right? Right. Right. And if law enforcement looked into it, then wouldn't they? Maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to make it okay in my head because fucking Swamp Thing over here is just, I don't know. I feel so bad. I hope It's all fake.
The first mention of them I can find online came from Reddit user Ghoul Goddess in a post on the r/internet mystery subreddit on December 9th, 2022. This post really got the small community over there talking, and where some brushed the streams off, others were genuinely worried about the man's well-being. Specifically, many users were concerned that the man wasn't covered in mud at all, and that the confined space he was trapped in was actually a septic tank, with that brown sludge actually being human waste. One of the main theories circulating at the moment is that these are actually fetish videos, and that whoever's running the Coke & Store TikTok account is really into that kind of thing, and wants to share his or her love of it with their followers. Thankfully, that's almost 100%.
So are they really in the mud or are they really in the shit? I mean, it's both are grody, but one is a lot more grody than the other.
Not the case. Scare Theatre has already done a good job at debunking that rumour already. Being a braver man than I, he took a look at some real septic tank videos online, and concluded that this liquid is almost certainly mud. Even so, these are still extremely strange live streams for a small business account to be posting on their social media. But then again, I suppose other companies have pulled similar stunts in the past.
What?
Mexico's Canal 5 comes to mind.
Companies wouldn't do shit like that to try to, like, get you to want to do things.
As mentioned in my Selene Delgado video, Canal 5 are the TV station that used to post disturbing and out-of-context videos to their Twitter page in the early hours to help drive engagement.
Oh.
In a similar vein, could Coke & Store simply be making these live streams as part of a viral marketing strategy? A way for them to
see what I'm saying, people? People do fucked up stuff, man. The internet is full of fuckery.
drum up interest in their TikTok account.
Oh god.
Well, as many people have already noted, these so-called live streams don't appear to have actually been recorded live at all. Given the angle distortions and audio quality, it's much more likely that whoever's running the Coke & Store account simply played these videos on their computer, aimed their phone at their monitor, and live streamed them that way. If that is the case, and personally I do think it is, then in all likelihood, Coke & Store doesn't actually have anything to do with the creation of these bizarre videos, and was simply using them to draw people to their account and get more followers. More followers means that Coke & Store can sell more gadgets, or charge more for product promotions, or eventually sell their account for a higher price.
Yep.
Given that they've had a huge follower increase recently, with the majority of comments on their videos asking about their creepy live streams, I'd say that that part of the mystery has been solved. But even if they were used as part of a social media hoax, that doesn't mean that the videos themselves aren't authentic. Coke & Store may not have been recording them live, but they had to have gotten them from somewhere.
Right?
Question is,
Where? Fuck.
As stated, the owner of the Coke & Store account still hasn't addressed the streams. Well, other than by liking comments referring to them. Nor have any internet sleuths been able to track down where these mysterious videos originated from. But maybe we don't have to find the original videos to close this case. There's been a recent trend amongst Indonesian influencers called Mandi Lumpur, which translates into mud bath. It's a trend in which streamers cover themselves in mud and ask for donations. Indeed, covering oneself in mud in Indonesia does seem to hold some significant meaning, and there are festivals where people will come together to do so and symbolically wash off their negative traits. It's possible Coke & Store took one of those videos from an obscure part of the internet, and, knowing that most people wouldn't know what they're looking at, made them out to be something much creepier than they actually are. But the man in Coke & Store's videos doesn't look like he's partaking in a fun ritual. He looks scared. Thing is, if you watch enough of these Mandi Lumpur videos, you'll occasionally find old streams where influencers spent 24 hours or more in a mud hole. Near the end mark of those videos, their behaviour is extremely similar to that of the man in Coke & Store's streams. They shiver,
Yeah.
curl up in the fetal position, breathe heavily, and look miserable. The man in Kokenstor's streams may not look like he's taking part in a fun ritual, but neither do many of these mud bathers either. Right now, we can't say with 100% certainty what's going on in these clips, not until we find the original videos at least. But it seems likely there's an innocent explanation behind them after all. Humans are drawn to the ambiguous. Creepy and unexplained videos like this capture our attention and leave us searching for and sharing novel answers.
Right.
Though usually, the truth ends up being more mundane than we initially expect.
Yeah, but it's the adventure that our imagination goes on before we get there that is the funnest. Right? Am I right? I love letting my imagination go wild.
And for this man's sake, I hope that is the
Oh,
case
yeah, most
with this
definitely.
mystery too.
Most definitely. I hope he's perfectly fine and he's just, oh, just a weird person. Eddie Bjorn.
Next up, a piece of lost media that may help solve a 30-year-old cold case.
What?
While scouring the internet for unsolved mysteries to cover, I came upon a write-up of a Norwegian case by redditor Arctisig5, namely that of the Teddybjorn Mannen, or in English, the Teddy Bear Man. On
What's the
September
teddy bear?
12th, 1990.
What's the teddy bear man? Why should I be scared of the teddy bear man? Is it a man that is a teddy bear? Because if that is the case, moths can kill him. And I'm not too worried about anything that can be murdered by moths.
A group of hunters came upon the remains of an unidentified person in the cold and remote heights of Hardangervidda National Park. The park itself is a popular spot for hikers during the warmer months,
My
but
God.
the area where the remains were found
Was those two houses just sitting out there chilling, bro? Oh, motherfucker. Don't want to be
a
here.
mountainous, thicketed area called Vol.3 was far from the well-trodden paths that most wise adventurers stuck to, a several-hour hike from the nearest trail in fact. The deceased was between the ages of 22 and 27, and judging from the condition of their bones, they had perished in the thicket at least a year earlier. Curiously, a banknote in their pocket had only gone into circulation in September of 1991, so more than likely, they had ventured into the mountains sometime shortly after that, when the weather had already started to turn abysmal, and when Volcanuton was starting to become inaccessible. A cause of death couldn't be determined, though given that they had been found 1,200 meters above sea level, the authorities believe that they must have wandered off from the hiking trail, and then subsequently froze.
Wow.
The clothes found on and around the victims' remains suggested that they weren't an experienced hiker. They also suggested that they had a very slim build. Several other personal effects were found close to the scene as well, including a teddy bear. Detectives named the doe Teddy Bear Man. This name actually proved to be contentious, seeing how forensic experts weren't entirely sure whether the deceased was a male or female. The skull certainly showed all the hallmarks of belonging to a man, but the extremely slender frame and feminine hips suggested that the Teddy Bear Man was actually the Teddy Bear Woman. The investigators' inability to identify the doe frustrated them to no end, and they released this facial reconstruction of the Teddybjorn Mannen in hopes of jogging a few memories. Unfortunately, this sculpt didn't result in any new leads, and to this day, we still don't know who the Teddybjorn Mannen was. It wasn't until 2022 that forensic experts were able to determine that the deceased was male after all, though some people, including the anatomy professor who helped to create this reconstruction, remain unconvinced. Given the confusion, it's possible the deceased may have had Klinefelter syndrome or something similar.
What's that?
The deceased had been carrying some curious items on their person.
Maybe he was just like a really feminine male. Like, it happens. More feminine traits than male traits. I don't know. This is weird.
when they perished. This included multiple plastic bags filled with German brand items, including rye bread, baking powder, and small bottles of wine and water. Most of their clothes had also been produced by German brands, including this poncho, which had been made in either Hamburg or Munich. A map of South Norway, which had been purchased in Oslo, was also found close to the body. This wasn't a hiking map like one may expect, but rather a road map, which would have been of no help navigating the park. Given that the thicket around the teddy bear man had been trampled down, detectives believe that they may have used the map as a mat to sit upon. Strangely, no backpack could be found at the scene. Given that the teddy bear man's bones had been gnawed upon by animals, some believe that a large creature may have dragged the pack away, though others think that the lack of a pack confirms that this was a naive tourist who underestimated the park and how treacherous it could be.
There's always a possibility.
Now, we move on to the teddy bear, which was clearly old
Yeah.
and was well loved, having been repaired multiple times. Clearly, this 35-centimeter bear was a personal treasure. Now, question is, why had an adult brought a teddy bear along for a hike in the mountains?
Exactly.
Well, it may suggest that the Teddybjørnmannen planned to end their life in the national park, and had brought some wine and their favourite toy to comfort them and make the process easier. At least that way, they wouldn't be alone at the end.
Okay. That
Ultimately,
makes
though,
sense.
without knowing who the Teddybjørnmannen was, we can't say for sure. But that's where you guys come in. Do you speak German?
No.
If so, you may be able to help solve this mystery by helping track down a piece of lost media. An old episode of a German TV show, to be precise. In 2022, the Teddy Bear Man's case was discussed on a popular Norwegian show called Asted Norge. Forgive my pronunciations. After that episode aired, a German national came forward, saying that the story rang a bell. They believed that in 1998, a German talk show called Flieg broadcast an episode in which a female guest talked about her son, who had gone missing while on holiday in Norway. This guest was appealing for information on her son's whereabouts, as she hadn't heard from him since 1991. Other callers and internet users agreed that the story sounded eerily familiar, and also recalled hearing about it on a German talk show in the 90s.
What?
This was the strongest lead detectives had had in years. If they could only get their hands on that episode of Flieg, they'd be able to question the female guest and uncover whether or not she was the teddy bear man's mother. Then they'd finally be able to give him back his real name and give his family closure. Trouble is, despite German authorities releasing this tip to the public, that episode of Flieg has never been found. The show's host doesn't recall ever covering that case either, and the TV network haven't found any records of the broadcast, though it is possible that the episode was deleted from their archive. It's also possible, even probable, that the tipster simply mixed up two different programs.
Yeah.
Perhaps the case wasn't covered on Flieg at all, but by a different talk show altogether. The female guest, who many believe to be the teddy bear man's mother, also hasn't come forward, though given the time frame, she may well have passed away before this development was announced. Regardless,
Ew.
this recent tip lines up with the authorities' former conclusion, that the Teddybjørnmannen was a German national on holiday in Norway, and that all they need to do is link him to a missing persons report in Germany. So, do you speak German? And do
Nope.
you have a taste for old German talk shows?
Nope.
If the answer to those questions is yes, and you find yourself watching some online in the wee hours, keep the story of the teddy bear man in the back of your mind. You may just find this lost talk show episode, and in doing
That'd be
so,
cool.
stumble upon the answer to a 30-year-old mystery. The real name
That would be so fucking cool though, bro.
of the teddy bear man.
Google Maps and Street View. Oh god.
It's no secret that some weird and wonderful discoveries have been made on Google Street View and Google Maps by curious internet users. From weird glitches to planned poses, There's a veritable treasure trove of bizarre happenings in every corner of these digital road maps.
Yeah.
The full cast of your favourite horror movies standing in the road. A warped image of a tourist, making her look like a possessed goat woman. A group of unmoving pigeon people staring at the Google crew as they pass by. Okay, maybe that one is a bit creepy. But then again, aside from all of the obviously staged incidents, Google have unintentionally captured some truly haunting things during their trips around the world.
Why is there a baby?
Many of them are well known at this point, but there still are
What
a
the
few
fuck?
that haven't been covered to death, and I'm going to go over a small handful of them here. Take for example, this image, which helped us solve a 22-year-old cold case. The picture, found on Google Maps back in August 2019,
There's
shows
a
a
car.
submerged car at the bottom of a pond in Wellington, Florida. The sunken vehicle, which a local resident found by pure chance after a Google search, was brought to the attention of the local authorities. The car was subsequently retrieved from the water. Inside, detectives found the remains of William Moult, a man who was reported missing from Lantana on November 7th, 1997, after he had failed to
Whoa.
return home from a night out. William had called his girlfriend at 9:30 p.m. that night to tell her he was on his way home, but obviously, he never made it back.
Obviously.
The 40-year-old had been missing for the past 2 decades, and for all that time, his loved ones were left to wonder what became of him.
Damn.
It's presumed that he simply lost control of his vehicle the night he went missing and accidentally drove into the pond. As stated on his Charlie Project page, quote, William Moult's vehicle had plainly been visible on a Google Earth satellite photo of the area since 2007, but apparently no one had noticed it until 2019. Moving on, take a look at this image, which shows a woman in a dress and heeled boots, walking along the roadside with a suitcase. Thing is, this image was captured in the New Mexico desert, literally in the middle of nowhere. The closest town, Roswell, is a 9.5-hour walk behind her, and there's absolutely nothing in any other direction for miles. Presumably she was dropped off in a car, but why was she left in the middle of the desert in the first place, with a suitcase, and where?
Well, I say what happens is she got angry. The dude she was with is a gigantimous dick. And he was like, you know what? Fuck you, get the fuck out of my car. And made her get out. Because people are pieces of shit like that. That's what happened. Guarantee it.
Where was she walking to? Finally,
Wherever.
there's this image. At first glance, it looks pretty innocuous, but believe it or not, it actually helped to solve a missing persons case. On November 2nd, 2020, an 83-year-old woman with Alzheimer's disappeared from her home in Andenne, Belgium. Given the woman's fragile condition, her family and friends were extremely concerned about her well-being. A large-scale search and rescue effort was launched almost immediately, which involved 50 officers, sniffer dogs, and a helicopter equipped with thermal imagers. And yet, despite all of that, the woman was never found. That is, until 2 years later, when one of the investigators decided, on a hunch, to check out her house on Google Street View. As it would turn out, the Google car just so happened to drive past her house, not only on the day she went missing, but at the precise moment she had wandered out from her home. This disturbing final image of the woman showed her walking in the direction of her neighbor's house. With that new lead, a second search for the woman was launched, in which investigators followed her assumed footprints. And wouldn't you know it, her body was discovered in a heavily forested area near her neighbor's garden. An area which had been overgrown during the initial search. So overgrown that even the sniffer dogs couldn't reach it. She had likely died after having a fall. With that backstory, this image becomes extremely eerie to look at, and it's crazy to think that the Google team just so happened to drive by and capture it at that exact moment. If they hadn't, it's entirely possible that this case would remain unsolved to this day, and the woman's family wouldn't have the closure they now do. Makes you wonder whether
It's also very sad. We're watching that poor lady take her last stroll. Oh, Like, that's gonna have me fucked up all day.
There any more active mysteries could be solved with the help of Google Street View, if only the right person were to look in the right place.
That's sad. That was an amazing video, though. Like, oh my god. He finds some pretty fucked up shit on the internet. I don't go looking for it, though. It just kind of happens to me. Imagine if I went looking for it, I could find some pretty messed up shit, too, though. It don't take long, does it? Oh, I've said this before. The internet's full of fuckery. Alright. I really enjoyed today's video. If you all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged, think about subscribing. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Man, that last picture really made me sad. Like, we're watching her take her final stroll, and she's just like trucking it too, but she's like, "Yep, I got this." It makes me sad. It's gonna have me fucked up the rest of the damn day.